5:17 local time, Persian Gulf. The radar tone shifts. Inside the Combat Information Center, the steady cadence of tracking surface traffic breaks into something far more urgent. A sharp, narrow return appears low and fast. New contact bearing 087. Then another alert, then one more. In less than 3 seconds, the tactical display fills with 3 solid tracks racing just above the water. The watch supervisor reacts instantly. Inbound contacts. No one asks where they came from. The data already says enough. Range 42 nautical miles. Speed high subsonic. Profile sea skimming. On the carrier's flight deck, deck crew stop in place as the 1MC cuts across the morning air. General quarters. General quarters. All hands, man your battle stations. In under 10 seconds, the carrier shifts from routine patrol to full combat posture. Condition 3 becomes Condition 1. Across the strike group, the transition is immediate. An Aegis cruiser 5 miles off the carrier's port quarter locks the contacts with SPY-1 radar. The destroyer on the starboard screen brings its combat system to auto-engage readiness. Data links surge to full capacity. Every ship now sees the same picture. 3 inbound tracks become 5, then 7. The electronic warfare officer calls it out. Coastal fire control radar spike detected. Bearing 110. Intermittent sweep. No speculation. No commentary. The tracks tighten into formation, flying under 15 feet above sea level, built to remain below the radar horizon for as long as possible. High above the carrier, an E-2D Hawkeye widens its orbit. Its radar dome sweeps the sky, feeding a shared picture down to every ship below. From 25,000 feet, it sees what sea-level sensors cannot. The Hawkeye operator counts them, multiple fast movers confirmed. 12 total contacts. 12. This is not a probe, not a warning shot. It is a saturation attempt. On the carrier's bridge, the captain stands perfectly still, eyes fixed on the repeater display. His voice remains level. Engage outer layer. Do not wait for terminal phase. Below deck, launch crews release safety interlocks on the vertical launch system. Hydraulic pressure builds. Cell hatches go live. Then another tone cuts through the CIC. Higher frequency. Different flight path. A new track rises rapidly from the coastline, climbing in a steep arc. Ballistic profile detected. High altitude ascent. For half a second, the room goes quiet. A low-flying strike is dangerous. A ballistic threat changes everything. The tactical display redraws. The new track climbs beyond 100,000 feet before bending toward the strike group's position. Predicted impact, carrier strike group, center mass. Time to terminal phase, under 2 minutes. Meanwhile, the first sea-skimming weapons disappear below radar coverage, hugging the water so tightly that spray kicks up beneath their fuselages, leaving narrow white scars across the Gulf. Range 28 nautical miles. The cruiser's Aegis system assigns interceptors automatically. Firing solutions are generated in milliseconds. The carrier holds course. No evasive turn yet. Speed remains steady. Panic burns time. Discipline saves it. Time to first intercept, the tactical action officer reports. Clipped and exact, 68 seconds. On the destroyer's forward deck, vertical launch hatches snap open one after another. Steel plates fold back into the dawn light. The missiles inside are already active. In CIC, the countdown keeps falling. 50 seconds. The inbound tracks begin to separate, programmed to complicate targeting. One drops even lower, nearly disappearing into sea clutter. 38 seconds. The ballistic track reaches apogee. Across the formation, radar arrays narrow their locks. Electronic countermeasures pulse outward, trying to distort guidance signals. 25 seconds. The order comes, fire. The first SM-6 erupts from its cell in a column of flame, climbing hard before snapping toward its assigned target. A second follows less than a heartbeat later. Then a third. From the carrier's deck, sailors look up as white contrails carve across the sky. Inside CIC, no one celebrates. No one says more than necessary. The incoming weapons are still on the way. The ballistic track begins its descent. The impact window tightens. And for the next minute, the entire strike group waits to see which side calculated better. The first intercept happens beyond the horizon. On the SPY-1 display, track 441 blinks once, then disappears. Splash 1. No emotion, just confirmation. 40 nautical miles out, the SM-6 meets the lead cruise missile at a closing speed above Mach 5. The detonation cannot be seen from the carrier, but fragments fall into the Gulf in a widening arc. 2 seconds later, another track vanishes. Splash 2. The Aegis system does not pause. It reallocates, recalculates, and assigns the next intercepts. But the formation splits. 4 weapons continue toward the carrier's bow. 3 break sharply to starboard, turning toward the outer destroyer screen. 2 drop even lower, using the radar shadow created by sea curvature and surface clutter. This was planned. Far above, the ballistic track continues downward at terminal velocity. Ballistic re-entry confirmed, the cruiser reports. SM-3 solution ready. At the far edge of the formation, another launch cell opens. The SM-3 leaves the rail almost silently. Compared with the raw violence of the SM-6, it climbs clean and steep, vanishing into the thin blue sky. Below, the sea skimmers close to 22 nautical miles. Inside the carrier's Combat Information Center, the Tactical Action Officer leans over the console. Recommend Ripple ESSM. Engage low flyers, execute from the port destroyer. Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles launch in pairs. Smaller, faster off the rail, built specifically for this layer of the fight. At 15 nautical miles, one incoming weapon makes a last-second maneuver. Its guidance system hunts and recalculates. It makes no difference. An ESSM catches it in mid-adjustment. A brief orange bloom flashes on the horizon. Splash 3. Another sea skimmer dives even lower, almost touching the surface. Spray trails behind it in a thin white wake. Range, 12 nautical miles. The outer ring has thinned the salvo, but it has not stopped it. One survives the ESSM layer. It keeps coming. Range, 9 nautical miles. Inside CIC, voices sharpen. Not louder, just tighter. Track 452 still inbound. Speed steady, altitude minimal. On the carrier's island, the forward Phalanx close-in weapon system rotates toward bearing 089. Its radar locks automatically. At 5 nautical miles, the incoming weapon rises slightly to clear a swell. That small rise is enough. CIWS free. The Phalanx opens up. The sound is less like individual gunfire and more like a sustained mechanical scream. 75 rounds per second create a dense cone of tungsten between the carrier and the target. The incoming weapon shudders under impact. Guidance fails. It breaks apart less than 2 nautical miles from the hull. Fragments slam into the water in a violent spray. Kill confirmed. Still no cheers. The tension stays where it is. 2 tracks remain. One angles toward the starboard destroyer. The other suddenly shifts, no longer aimed at the carrier, but at the cruiser, providing ballistic coverage. Range, 7 nautical miles. The destroyer launches another ESSM pair. One misses by inches as the incoming weapon executes a programmed weave. The second connects. Splash 4. The final cruise missile is now inside 4 nautical miles of the cruiser. Its seeker activates fully. Inside CIC, the electronic warfare officer sends a focused jamming burst. False returns flood the missile's receiver. Ghost ships appear slightly offset from the real hull. For half a second, the track hesitates on screen, then it corrects. Too late. The cruiser's aft phalanx opens fire. The stream of rounds meets the target less than 1.2 nautical miles from the ship. From the carrier's deck, the explosion is clearly visible. Low, violent, close. Splash 5. Silence follows. Brief. Brittle. Then the ballistic intercept report arrives. Exo-atmospheric intercept. Successful. High above visual range, the SM-3 collides with the descending ballistic missile. The threat never reaches terminal guidance. On the shared tactical display, every inbound track is gone, but the comm lasts only seconds. A sensor operator leans forward, scanning the radar edge. New launch detected, bearing 110, multiple. The coastline lights up again with thermal signatures. This was never a single volley. It is a sustained strike, and the next wave is already in the air. The radar picture does not clear. It multiplies. Bearing 110 brightens once more as fresh contacts lift off from the Iranian coastline. Smaller returns this time, slower, dozens of them. Drone swarm detected, multiple low RCS targets. At the same moment, surface search radar picks up 3 fast attack craft accelerating out of a coastal inlet. Speed 35 knots and rising, heading direct intercept. This is no longer a one-axis attack. It is layered pressure, air and surface saturation at the same time. Inside the carrier's Combat Information Center, the tactical display divides into sectors. Air defense officers take the drone tracks. Surface warfare teams handle the fast boats. Electronic warfare scans for control links. Above the strike group, 2 FA-18 Super Hornets climb through 10,000 feet, shifting from defensive posture to offensive screen. Under their wings hang anti-surface weapons. Behind them, EA-18G Growlers activate their jamming pods. The spectrum fills with noise. The first wave of drones drops below 200 feet. They are not especially fast, but they are numerous. Small delta wing shapes following GPS routes. The cruiser fires another pair of ESSMs. 2 drones disappear, 10 remain. The destroyer switches to rolling airframe missiles, short range, heat-seeking. 3 more drones detonate in the air. Still, they keep coming. Then, in the middle of the swarm, one radar return flickers strangely and vanishes. Not from interception, not from impact. It simply collapses. Track 671 lost, a sensor operator says. No explosion signature. Another drone begins to wobble on screen. Its course drifts. It slips into a shallow spiral toward the sea. Then a third. Inside CIC, the electronic warfare officer leans closer to the console. We're not taking those down. He checks the spectrum analyzer. Their command link just dropped. Along the coastline, Iranian radar emissions spike, then begin to fluctuate. Signal strength dips without warning. The Growlers expand their jamming pattern. Aboard the cruiser, a classified electronic warfare package comes online. Low power, tightly focused, highly precise. The next drone's guidance signal flickers. Its telemetry collapses in midair. It drops straight into the water without any warhead detonation. Across the radar display, 3 more drones begin drifting off course, as if suddenly blinded. Loss of guidance confirmed, the officer says quietly. No missile strike, no explosion, just empty silence where a detonation should have been. The fast attack craft close to 18 nautical miles. The Hornets angle down and acquire them visually. Laser designation settles on the bow of the lead vessel. The boats keep moving, but their radar sweep is weakening. On the carrier, technicians confirm something no one expected to see this clearly. The electronic countermeasure is doing more than jamming. It is cutting the data handshake between coastal radar, drone uplink, and missile mid-course correction. Guidance systems are going dark in flight. Inside CIC, one final cruise missile from the second wave survives the outer intercept attempts. Range, 14 nautical miles. It dives aggressively, then suddenly hesitates. Its radar seeker sweeps wide. Then, nothing. The track freezes for half a second before the weapon noses into the Gulf. No interceptor flash, no debris plume, just a splash. The electronic warfare officer exhales once. Guidance collapse confirmed. For the first time since 0517, the number of incoming threats is dropping faster than interceptors are being launched. Not because every projectile has been physically destroyed, but because the projectiles are losing their vision. Along the Iranian coastline, radar signatures begin to flicker unevenly. Fire control locks blink on, then vanish. Inside the carrier's CIC, analysts watch the anomaly unfold in real time. This system was never meant to be used so openly. It was built for contingency, for last resort defense. And yet here it is. Missiles and drones are failing in mid-flight, not from direct impact, but from electronic isolation. The Hornet's close to 12 nautical miles from the fast attack craft. The lead Iranian vessel eases off slightly. Its wake shortens. On radar, its targeting beam falters. Another drone drops into the sea before reaching terminal phase. Inside CIC, a new phrase begins passing quietly from console to console. Network disruption effect expanding. The ballistic arc from the second launch attempt never fully stabilizes. Its guidance struggles to reacquire mid-course correction. Then, the track fractures on screen. High above the Gulf, the warhead tumbles off course and splashes down far wide of the carrier group. For a moment, the entire battle space goes still. No inbound locks, no radar spikes, no drone vectors, only the distant growl of jet engines overhead and the hum of cooling missile cells. The Iranian fast attack craft are now 15 nautical miles away, and they are slowing. No one has fired on them yet. But something far more unsettling has already happened. Their weapons did not fail. Their network did, and the strike group is still fully intact. Inside CIC, the captain finally speaks. Maintain posture. Do not pursue, because the unthinkable has already happened. The attack did not break against steel, it broke against silence. The sky belongs to the strike group now. At 15 nautical miles, the Iranian fast attack craft begin to spread out, trying for lateral separation. A classic swarm tactic. Force multiple targeting choices, complicate firing solutions. The Hornets are already ahead of them. Surface contacts locked, Viper 1 reports. Laser designation active. No warning shot, no dramatic exchange, just geometry. At 12 nautical miles, the lead FA-18 releases a single AGM-84 Harpoon. The missile drops clean, ignites, and levels off just above the waterline. Sea skimming. Quiet until terminal. The Iranian boat attempts a hard turn to starboard. Too late. The Harpoon strikes just aft of the bridge. Flash. Plume. The vessel loses propulsion instantly. Dead in the water, but not sinking. Disabled. The second fast attack craft slows sharply. It is no longer charging. It is calculating. Overhead, the Growlers widen the electronic umbrella. Iranian surface search radar flickers again, struggling to maintain coherent tracks on the American aircraft. Back inside the carrier's CIC, the drone picture continues to thin. Remaining UAVs drifting, an operator confirms. Multiple uncontrolled descents. One drone tries to reacquire navigation. It banks sharply toward the carrier's outer screen. The destroyer does not fire. The Growler shifts frequency. The drone's telemetry drops out. It spirals down and hits harmlessly half a mile short of the formation. The last operational cruise missile launcher on the coastline attempts one final emission spike. It is brief. Aegis flags it instantly. Before any missile even leaves the rail, a Tomahawk target solution is generated aboard the cruiser. The captain does not authorize the strike. Not yet, because the mission was defense, and defense has already held. Then the unexpected returns. High-altitude track bearing 105. Possible ballistic reattempt. The contact climbs steep and fast. One last try. Inside CIC, there is no hesitation. SM-3 ready. The interceptor launches in a clean vertical plume, punching up through the atmosphere guided by shipboard radar and overhead sensor data. At exo-atmospheric altitude, it meets the incoming warhead in a kinetic collision. No explosive charge, just physics. The flash is faint from the Gulf below, barely visible in the early morning light. Intercept confirmed. That is the second ballistic kill of the morning. Along the Iranian coastline, radar emissions fade again. Signals drop close to zero. Surface contacts begin pulling back toward territorial waters. In the cockpit of Viper 1, the lead pilot watches the disabled patrol boat tilt slightly, smoke trailing behind it. Second vessel turning cold, he reports. No order to pursue follows. The Hornets hold at 20,000 feet, circling overhead. Visible, controlled, dominant. On the carrier deck, the atmosphere shifts. The urgency fades, replaced by calculation. Ordnance crews reload, fuel lines stay connected. Flight operations continue without pause, because control isn't declared, it's sustained. The Growlers gradually reduce jamming power, watching for any spike in signals. Nothing. On radar, the coastline is quiet. Too quiet. Inside CIC, the tactical picture is clean. No inbound threats, no active targeting locks, no drone telemetry. The strike group is intact. Zero damage, zero casualties. The captain studies the data one last time, then gives the order. Resume transit. Maintain elevated posture. The carrier never altered course. It never turned away. And now it moves forward through the Gulf as if nothing happened. Behind it, the disabled fast attack craft drift under tow, smaller Iranian vessels scrambling to recover them. No American ship crosses into coastal waters. No counterstrike follows. But the message is clear. Every missile failed. Every drone lost guidance. Every radar link broke down. And the carrier never hesitated. Above the formation, a new pair of Hornets rotates in, replacing the first to maintain constant coverage. The E-2D Hawkeye stays on station. Destroyers adjust spacing, tightening the defensive ring without breaking formation. Adrenaline fades. Discipline takes over. Procedure replaces urgency. Inside CIC, a young operations specialist stares at the replay, watching the moment when drone tracks simply disappeared. He says nothing. He doesn't need to. Everyone understands. Weapons can be intercepted, boats can be disabled, but what happened this morning was different. It wasn't just layered defense, it was systemic denial. The strike group didn't just survive a saturation attack, it disrupted the entire structure behind it. And that is far more unsettling than visible damage. As the sun climbs higher over the Persian Gulf, the carrier continues on course, untouched, steady, unchanged. The Iranian coastline fades into the haze. No radar spikes, no launch signatures, only open water and silence. By 6:42 local time, the Gulf looks calm again. No contrails, no warning tones, no debris on the horizon, but nothing about the last 90 minutes was routine. Inside CIC, the tactical display is clear. Every track archived, every emission logged, every failed guidance signal recorded down to the millisecond. The strike group remains at full readiness, not because another launch is expected, because readiness itself is the message. On the flight deck, Super Hornets cycle through refuel and rearm. Growlers power down jamming pods but remain alert. One Hawkeye rotates out, replaced seamlessly by another. No celebration, no speeches, just a professional reset. On the bridge, the captain watches the formation hold its structure. Destroyers on the outer screen, cruiser positioned for ballistic coverage, subsurface assets unseen but present. He gives one instruction: hold posture, no pursuit. The Iranian fast attack craft are now deep inside territorial waters. One is being towed. The others have gone silent, their radar systems shut down. They are no longer advancing. They are observing. And that is enough. Because what happened this morning was not luck. It was controlled power. Iran launched first. 12 cruise missiles, 2 ballistic attempts, a coordinated drone swarm, fast attack craft moving in close, a saturation attempt. The strike group answered with discipline. Outer layer intercepts, mid-layer defense, close-in engagement, air cover overhead, electronic warfare across the spectrum. But the decisive moment wasn't physical. It was digital. Missiles lost guidance mid-flight, drones spiraled without impact, coastal radar systems faltered under pressure they couldn't overcome. The real outcome wasn't destruction, it was neutralization without escalation. No cruise missiles fired inland, no large-scale retaliation, no dramatic headlines. The carrier didn't need that. It made its point. Inside CIC, analysts replay the engagement again and again. They focus on the exact second a cruise missile hesitated, its seeker scanning wide before going blind and falling into the Gulf. They review intercept data, map the spread of network disruption, break down every second, because data becomes understanding, and understanding becomes deterrence. Across the Gulf, Iranian radar stays silent. Not destroyed, just cautious. Because now they know. Their missiles can be tracked, their drones can be blinded, their networks can be disrupted, and the carrier remains. The strike group continues forward at steady speed. No change in course, no symbolic maneuver, just quiet, deliberate motion. The message is subtle. No reckless escalation, but no vulnerability either. In Washington, there will be no dramatic announcement. In Tehran, there will be quiet analysis. In the Gulf, shipping lanes reopen beneath the same shield that held firm at 517. Above the carrier, Hornets trace calm arcs in the sky. Below the surface, submarines shift position unseen. Destroyers scan the horizon without pause. Nothing looks different. Everything is different. A threshold was tested, and it failed. Iran fired first. The carrier did not flinch. The strike group did not break formation. And the outcome wasn't destruction. It was dominance without a second strike. The Gulf remains tense. It always is. But this morning drew a line. Without smoke, without spectacle, yet impossible to miss. Next time, they may try again. Next time, they may adapt. The question is simple. Will they understand what's happening before their systems go dark again? Out here, steel matters. Training matters. But control matters more. And this morning, control decided everything.